Okay, so start with the yesterday's class. Actually, we have started with composition of relations, right? So, and then we have solved few problems on the composition of relations, and then we have also discussed properties. Okay, now. Okay, so we have also discussed properties of the relations, right? So, fine. Before we go to the problems in the properties of relations, I'll just prove one theorem. Okay, fine. Just a minute. I'll just start recording. Okay, fine, students. So I just want to prove one theorem. That is, in exam, actually, they will ask you to prove whether the composition of a relation is associative or not. Okay, so they can ask in that way. Some people will be removed. Just a minute, students. Actually, I'm trying to record. Okay. Okay, fine. So in the exam, actually what they will do is they will ask you whether the composition of relation is associative or not, or simply they will ask you some three proposition, like say for example, if you have three relations R, S and T, so you just have to prove R composition of S composition of T. This is same as R composition of S of composition of T. Okay. In fact, if you observe this, this is also an associative, right? Associative law, right? Because R composition of S composition of T is equal to R composition of S of composition of T. In fact, actually, we are proving that it is associative or not. Okay, what we are, which one we are proving? We are proving that the composition of relation is associative or not. Okay, so to start with this, we already know that whenever I tell about a relation, we need at least two sets because a relation will be between two sets, right? So here we have three relations. So if I have to draw arrow diagram, at least I need four sets, right? So I will assume R be a relation from set A to set B, and S be the relation from B to C, and T be a relation from C to D. Okay, so here I have assumed three relations and four sets. So based on this, so first I will draw the arrow diagram, right? So B, C, D, right? Next, so this is the first set A, this is the second set B, C, and D. And R is a relation from set A to set B, S is a relation from set B to set C, and T is a relation from C to D. Okay. So after this, what I will do is let the sets A, B, C, and D have the elements you can assume any four elements. Okay, so I'll just take W, X, Y, Z. Okay, so you can take any elements W, X, and Y, W, X, Y, and Z respectively. So okay, so based on this assumption, so the set A will contain W, set B will contain X, Y, and Z. Okay, so I have included these elements. Fine. So now, so in the when I have started the module 3 itself, I have told you so how I am going to prove all the theorems, right? So what I will do is whatever the LHS part is there, for the LHS part I will consider one element, okay, and I will prove that the same element also belong to the RHS. Okay, what does that conclude? If the element that is present in the LHS, if it is also present in the RHS, then LHS is a subset of RHS. Okay, so if all the elements of LHS is present in RHS, it is a subset of RHS. Next, what I will do is again I will consider some element in the RHS and I will prove that the same element also belong to LHS. Fine. So if LHS is a subset of RHS and RHS is a subset of LHS, and we know that subset will satisfy antisymmetric property, right? So from this I can conclude that LHS and RHS both are same. And I told you for all the theorems I will use the same principle. Okay. So based on this, what I will do is now these are the assumptions, right? So based on this, I'll just start with the proof. So in order to prove this LHS is equal to RHS, what I will do is I will take some, so here I cannot tell element because it is a relation. For a relation, always you have to consider an ordered pair, right? So here what I will do is, so I will just consider some ordered pair like W comma Z, right? So I have assumed the ordered pair W comma Z belong to LHS. What is the LHS? R composition of S composition of T, right? So after this, what I will do is, we already know the definition of composition of relation, right? So yesterday I have first told the definition of composition of relation. What is the definition? The definition tells that if I have three sets and R is a set and S is a set between these sets, right? So if I have some element, say for example, the elements are A, B, C, if A comma B belong to R and B comma C belong to S, then R composition of S will contain A comma C, right? So based on this, see here I have W comma Z. W comma Z is this one. Okay. So if I have W comma Z belong to some relation R composition of S composition of T, obviously there exists one more element in between these sets such that I can split the relation, right? So that is what I have done here. So if A comma C belong to the composition relation R composition of S, then there exists one more element B that belong to the set B such that A comma B belong to R and B comma C belong to S. Okay. So this is what is the definition of composition of relation, right? So based on this, so here actually, you know, when you are splitting, so R is one part and S composition of T is another part. Okay. So based on this, what I can do is here I can take two elements. In fact, one is X and another one is Y. But since I have to split first R and then S composition of T, I have to first assume, I have to start with X. Okay. So based on this, what I will do is I will tell there exists, from the diagram we can easily see there exists an element. What is that element? Small x. Okay. That belong to which set? Set B. Such that W comma X, I can split W comma X into one set, right? W comma X belong to the relation R, and then X comma Z, right? And X comma Z belong to what? S composition of T, right? So now if you observe this, I cannot split this further, but this one you can split further, right? So again, you can apply the definition of composition of relation to this part. Okay. So if you do that, what I'm telling is this X comma Z can be further split into two ordered pairs, right? That is, I can tell that there exists one more element Y that belong to the set C, such that X comma Y belong to S and Y comma Z belong to T, right? So based on this, I will write the same thing. There exists one more element Y that belong to the set C, such that X comma Y belong to the belong to the relation S and Y comma Z belong to the relation T. See, actually what I have done is just I have used the definition of composition of relation and I have split the big ordered pair into smaller ordered pairs. That is what I have done, right? So after this, I will just rewrite everything. Whatever the ordered pairs that I have, I will just rewrite it. Okay. So what I had is W comma X belong to the relation R, comma X comma Y belong to the relation S, and Y comma Z belong to the relation T, right? So now what I will do is I will just regroup the ordered pairs. But while regrouping, just I have to take a look at the RHS. This time R and S has to be together. Okay. So since R and S has to be together, so what I will do is, so I will apply the same rule again, but in the reverse way. Since W comma X belong to the relation S and X comma Y belong to the relation S, then W comma Y belong to the relation R composition of S. Okay. So this time I'm combining. So when I combine these two, and why I'm combining these two? Because I need RHS. In the RHS, R and S are together. Okay, so in order to get that, since W comma X belong to R and X comma Y belong to R, so W comma Y belong to the relation R composition of S, right? So this I will write as it is. That is Y comma Z belong to the relation T. So this is by the definition of composition of relations, right? So after this, again, I will combine these two. Okay, so if I combine these two, Wy belong to R composition of S and Y comma Z belong to T. So if I combine that W comma Z, that is W comma Z belong to what? R composition of S, composition of T. Okay, so if you observe here, I told you, right? I have started with one element, that is W comma Z belonging to LHS. And I have proved that the same arbitrary ordered pair also belong to the RHS. What is the meaning of this? So I have taken W comma Z. Similarly, you can take X comma Y, A comma B, or any ordered pair. Okay. So any ordered pair which is present in the LHS, it is also present in the RHS. So the conclusion is, therefore, so you just take this as 1, this as 2. Okay. So therefore, you can tell from 1 and 2, this R composition of S composition of T is a subset of R composition S of composition of T. Okay. So actually, this is one part of the theorem. So since LHS is a subset of RHS, I cannot tell they are equal. So next step, what you have to do is, so you just write the same diagram again. Okay, so instead of taking W, X, Y, Z, so this time you can take P, Q, R, S, A, B, C, D, some different set of elements. So this after that, what you do is, so you just take the extreme elements as an ordered pair and start with the elements. The ordered pair will belong to the RHS and proceed with the same steps and prove that the same element also belong to the LHS. Okay. See, actually, this theorem, it looks very lengthy, but the thing is, all you are doing is just you are applying the composition of relation definition. That's all. You are not doing anything based on the definition. You are expanding based on the definition. You are just contracting. That's all. You are not doing anything else here, right? As I told you, when you look at the textbook, actually this theorem looks very complicated. But actually, I told you, right, for theorems and all, for module 3, actually I will send the notes, right? So you can refer the notes. As I have told you, so this is one part of the theorem. The another part is you have to start considering the element belonging to the RHS. You have to write the different diagram. Okay. So I think it will be the same thing. So when you refer the notes, you can understand. I think, is there any doubt, students? I'm just asking you, have you understood the theorem properly? Students, please answer me. Have you understood the theorem correctly? Okay, fine. The thing is, if you want the same set of examples, I don't know in notes what elements I have considered. So if you want the same thing, you can just take a screenshot. Fine, you can just take a screenshot of this theorem. As I have told you, this is one part of the theorem. So the another part is same thing, but you have to start from the RHS. Okay. So for that, I will send the notes. Fine. So if you want to analyze, I'll just give you 2 minutes time. So just analyze the theorem. If you have any doubts or if you want me to explain the theorem again, I will do that. No issues. Okay, you can just put in the comment section to explain it again. So I want all the students to just analyze the theorem. Okay. So after that, I'll just ask you. So if you want any explanation further, I'll explain. Yeah, Aryan, I will explain it again. So before that, for 2 minutes, you just try to analyze whatever I have written on the board. Okay. So after 2 minutes, I'll explain it again. Okay, fine. See students, actually the theorem is very simple. Okay, I will explain it again. Okay, so here what you need to do, what you have to prove is you have to prove the composition of a relation is associative or not. Okay, so associative law you already know, right? So with respect to union, right? A union of B union C is equal to A union B of union C. Okay, so here he has asked you for the composition. So if I use the composition, it will look like this, right? So this is my assumption. If I have to prove the relations, composition of relation is associative or not, I have to assume some relations, right? And you already know for associative law, I need at least three relations, right? So I have taken three relations R, S, T. I have to prove R composition of S composition of T is equal to R composition of S of composition of T, right? So for this, since I have taken three relations and I have to use the arrow diagram for that, I have to include at least four sets, right? Because every relation will take at least two sets. So based on this, what I have done is, first I have assumed four sets, that is A, B, C, D, and I have just assumed those sets will contain the elements W, X, Y, Z. Okay. So based on whatever the assumptions that I have made, I have written the diagram. Okay. So this diagram will depict about the relations and the sets and the elements inside that relation. Okay. So now, if I take the LHS, that is R composition of S composition of T, you already know that this is the relation R, and this is S, and this is T, right? So if I have to include all these three relations, the relation is starting from the set A and it is ending till the set D. Okay, so I have to include the first element to the last element. And the composition of relation, see, actually, if you have to understand the composition of relation, I'll just tell you one example. See, actually, if I tell that I have to travel from Bangalore to Mysore, it is same as me telling, you know, I have to travel from Bangalore to Mandya and then from Mandya to Srirangapatna and then from Srirangapatna to Mysore. Both are same. But the thing is, so in the second example, I have taken the breaks. So from Bangalore to Mandya, Mandya to Srirangapatna, and then Srirangapatna to Mysore. So whereas in the first case, I have taken directly from Bangalore to Mysore, but both are same, right? So the starting and the ending destinations are same. So in the similar way, if I tell that W comma Z belong to the R composition of S composition of T, it is same as W comma X belong to R, X comma Y belong to S, and Y comma Z belong to T. Okay, so you just try to understand in this way. Okay, coming back to the theorem, the thing is, so here I have assumed W comma Z belong to R composition of S composition of T. So, okay, so this is my, from the diagram, I got this one. So after this, what I will do is I have to split this. What I have here is R composition of S composition of T. But what I need to prove is R composition of S of composition of T. I need S composition of T to be, made free, and I need to regroup R and S together. Okay, so in order to do this, I have to just bifurcate, right? For that, I can use the definition of composition of relation. If you see S composition of T, that is S composition of T, what is the ordered pair I'm having? I'm having X comma Z. If I have X comma Z, from the definition of composition of relation, I can tell that there exists one more element Y, which belongs to the set C, such that X comma Y belong to S and Y comma Z belong to T. That is what I have done. Right? So like this, I have just splitted all the relations and each and individual ordered pair I have written. Okay. So after this, I need to regroup this W comma X and X comma Y. Again, I have used the same definition of composition of relation and I have regrouped that. Okay. I think, does it make sense, Aryan? Have you understood it? See, actually, what I have done is just I have used the definition of composition of relation. That's all. Actually, as I have told you, the theorem looks very lengthy, but there is nothing in this theorem. Just I have splitted it and then I have regrouped it. That's all. Okay. So next, what I will do is, if everyone have understood this, next I will start with the properties of the relation. So I told you, right, in exam, most of the times they will ask the problems on the composition of relations. Rarely, very rarely, they will ask this kind of theorems. Right? I told you, right, actually, whatever might be the theorem, since I am using the same principle, it should be easy for you to remember. Fine? So coming to the properties of the relation, actually I have introduced you yesterday with the reflexive relation, right? The reflexive relation, I'll just quickly revise everything. So the reflexive relation R, the relation R is said to be reflexive relation if every element is related to itself. Okay, every element is related to itself for all the elements that belong to the set A. Okay, so if R is a relation, if R is a relation that is defined on the set A, if R is a relation that is defined on set A, every element of the every element of the set A must be related to itself. Such a relation is said to be reflexive, right? So next, what we have? Symmetric, right? So the symmetric relation tells that if I have to call R as a symmetric relation, it will contain the ordered pair x comma y such that if it has y comma x, okay, if a relation has y comma x, then x comma y must also be present, right? Next, transitive relation. Transitive relation tells that if I have x comma y and if I have y comma z that belong to the relation R, then I should also have x comma z, right? So that is about the transitive. And antisymmetric property tells that if some relation exists between xy and yx, and it is necessary and sufficient for me to tell that x is equal to y, then such a relation R is said to satisfy the antisymmetric property. Okay, and after this I have introduced two more. One is very important, that is equivalence relation. Equivalence relation, and then partial order. And I have also told you that it does not have any rule by itself, but any relation which will satisfy the properties of reflexive, symmetric, and transitive. Any relation which will satisfy the properties of reflexive, symmetric, and transitive, such a relation is said to be equivalence relation. Similarly, any relation which will satisfy the properties of reflexive, antisymmetric, and transitive, such a relation is called as partial order. Okay, and I just have to tell you one more thing for you. In case of the reflexive relation, I told you, right, every element of the set on which the relation is defined, if that elements are related to itself, such a relation is said to be reflexive relation. Actually, there are two more subparts of this. If not all the elements are related to itself, I'll just give you one example. Say for example, the set A, it has the elements W, X, Y. Okay, I'll repeat. Set A has the elements W, X, Y. And when we have defined the relation, we have W comma W, X comma X, but Y comma Y is not there. Okay, in other words, so we don't have like every element related to itself, but we have few elements which are related to itself. In that case, it is not called as reflexive, rather it is called as not reflexive. I repeat, if at least one element is related to itself, then we can call it as not reflexive. If none of the elements are related to itself, then it is called as irreflexive. Fine, I think it's a bit confusing. Don't worry, actually I'll solve the problem, you will understand better, but I'll just repeat it once. If all the elements are related to itself, it is called as reflexive. If at least one element is related to itself, then it is called as not reflexive. If none of the elements are related to itself, it is called as irreflexive. Okay, so because you have to remember this, because in the exam they might ask you, he will just give you one set and he will give you the ordered pairs, and he will just ask you which relations are, he'll give few relation examples, and he will ask you which relations are reflexive, which are irreflexive, like that. Okay, so this kind of questions he can ask. So for that you have to remember. I think, is it okay, students? Can I start with the problems? Should I explain again the properties of the relations? Students, can I start with the problems? Okay. So let us solve the problems. You will understand better. Okay, so he has given the set which contains the elements 1, 2, 3, and he is asking you which of the following relations are reflexive, symmetric, transitive, antisymmetric. But don't worry, actually, in question paper, actually, they might ask you which of the relations are reflexive, symmetric, and transitive, or he might ask you what are all the nature, what is the nature of the relation. Okay, so in exam, don't be panicked if he asks about the nature of the relation actually he's asking about the properties, okay, that reflexive, symmetric, and anti-symmetric. So if he tells nature of relation, then he is asking you the properties itself, okay. So now I'll just give you one relation. You just have to tell the nature of the relation, okay. For the relation R1, which contains the ordered pair 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 3, 3. Okay. So for this relation, I want you to tell the properties. Okay. So what I will do is, so I'll just list out all the properties. Okay. So let me write here. I think for all the problems, so just I can change the relation instead of changing everything. So once I will write all the properties: reflexive, not reflexive, irreflexive, symmetric, anti-symmetric. Usually some of the students, they will get confused with the symmetric and anti-symmetric. Okay, so when we solve the problems, I think you will understand. Transitive. Okay, so let us include till here. Equivalence and partial, I'll tell later. Okay, fine. The relation R1. So first of all, I need to check the relation R1 is reflexive or not reflexive, or irreflexive, symmetric, transitive, and anti-symmetric. Fine. Okay. So now, based on the explanation, whatever I have given for you about the properties of the relation, so one problem I'll solve. Okay. So now, what does the reflexive relation tells? So I need to check whether the relation R1 is reflexive or not. This relation R1, it is defined on the set A. Okay. And what are the elements of set A? The elements of the set A are 1, 2, 3. If I have to call it as a reflexive, every element of the set A must be related to itself. Do I have 1, 1? Yes, I have. But I don't have 2, 2, and I have 3, 3. So it cannot be reflexive. Why it cannot be reflexive? Because I don't have 2, 2. Okay. 2 is not related to itself. Okay, because every element must be related, otherwise it cannot be called as reflexive. And is it not reflexive? If I have to tell it is not reflexive, at least, okay, note down the word at least means at least one element must be related to itself. So here I have 1, 1, even I have 3, 3 also. So it is not reflexive. But is it irreflexive? Irreflexive in the sense every element must not be related to itself. But I have 1, 1 here and 3, 3. So it can't be reflexive. Fine. So similarly, coming to the symmetric, I have 1, 2. See, actually, students, you have to be very careful. Okay, so when I tell the example, I'll tell you. Okay, with respect to the symmetric, I have 1, 2 here, but you should also have 2, 1. But 2, 1 is not there, so it can't be called as symmetric. What about anti-symmetric? So 1, 2 is there, and 2, 1 is not there, and in fact, 1 and 2 can't be equal, right? So this anti-symmetric property, we cannot expect any anti-symmetric property here. What about transitive? I have 1, 3. And I have 3, 3, and 1, 3 is also present. What else? 1, 2 I have, and from 2 there is nothing, right? So it is transitive, right? Understood, right? So based on this, so now I will give one more relation for you, relation R2. I'll give you the ordered pairs 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. Students, now you have to answer me what is the nature of this relation R2. You have to answer, you just analyze and tell me what is the nature of the relation R2. So if the board is not visible, I'll just read the question for you. The relation R2 I have given, and it contains the ordered pairs 1, 1, 2, 2, and 3, 3. Okay, Anian, you are asking about the anti-symmetric property. See, Anian, actually, first of all, you need to understand here, the anti-symmetric property tells that if I have 2, 3, and if I have 3, 2, then I should be able to tell that 2 and 3 are equal, but 2 and 3 will not be equal. Okay. So anti-symmetric relation tells that in general, if some relation exists between xy and also yx, and if they are equal, it is necessary and sufficient condition for me to tell that they are equal. Such a relation is said to be anti-symmetric relation. Okay. For example, if you take the divisibility relation, I told that the divisibility relation is anti-symmetric, right? So in case of the divisibility relation, I'll tell that x divides y and y divides x, and if these two satisfies, then I can clearly tell that x and y are same. Why? Because you can take any example practically. If I take 2 divides 4. Okay, 2 comma 4 will be there, but I cannot tell 4 will divide 2. 4 can't divide 2, right? So it is not possible. If these two are possible, then I can take then I have to give the examples like 2 divides 2 and also 2 divides 2, and 2 and 2 are equal. Understood, right? So divisibility, both the sides will happen only when they are equal, and that is the reason divisibility relation is antisymmetric. Whereas in this case, he has given 1 comma 2, right? And 2 comma 1 is not there. Even if 2 comma 1 is there also, 1 and 2 are not equal. And since they are not equal, I cannot tell this relation will satisfy antisymmetric property. Okay, don't worry. So we will solve more problems. You will understand even better. Okay, so try to analyze this problem first. Try to analyze this problem. The relation, Kavya have solved it. Okay. So others also please solve it soon. Okay, transitive relation, I will explain it again. Sure, I'll explain it. So others, please try to analyze this relation R2 once. I'll explain again. It's okay. Okay, so before I explain the second one, Aryan, actually I know why you have got confused with transitive relation. Okay, so before I explain the transitive relation again, with respect to this relation R1, uh, is the board clearly visible for you, students? Students, is the board clearly visible for you? Okay, so I'll continue with this. See, actually, Aryan, actually, before you actually see this problem, what is the rule that I have told for transitive relation? The transitive relation tells that if x is related to y and y is related to z, then x must be related to z, right? See, actually, if I have only one part, that is, if you see the LHS, if x is related to y and y is related to z, but if you have only x related to y and if y related to z is not there, then you need not to think about x is related to z. Okay, same goes even with this example. So here I have 1 comma 2, and if I had 2 comma something, if I had 2 comma 3, then you have to worry about 1 comma 3. But the second part does not exist. Okay, if the second part does not exist, you need not to worry about the conclusion. So since the condition itself doesn't exist, then the transitive law has not been broken. You can tell that transitive relation is okay. Okay, only the rule is broken, then only I can tell the transitive property is not there. Okay, I think it's clear for you now. If you have not understood, don't worry. I'll explain this again. This second relation. Okay, so just see what are the answers that you have given for the second one. So it's reflexive, not reflexive. Both can't be. Joshi, you have given reflexive, not reflexive, symmetric, antisymmetric. And it is, so you are telling it's not transitive. And Chandrakant, you are telling it's reflexive, not reflexive. Okay. Very good. Actually, the thing is, I think I have not made myself clear what the definition that I have given for not reflexive. I told that at least one element must be related to itself. I told yes, at least one must be related, but not all. Okay, if all are related, then it won't be not reflexive. It will be reflexive only. I think that point I didn't tell. It's okay. So it's reflexive, symmetric, antisymmetric, and transitive. Very good. If I correct. Kavya, you have told reflexive, not reflexive. No, actually
not reflexive doesn't come. Okay, if all the elements are related, then it can't be not reflexive. And you have told symmetric, antisymmetric, transitive. Oh, and you have also told equivalence, partial. Very good. Okay. Fine. Actually, most of you, I think, you have answered well. See, actually, when it comes to the reflexive property, every element is related to itself, right? I have 1, comma 1, 2, comma 2, 3, comma 3. Obviously, it is reflexive. For not reflexive, at least one element should be related to itself, but the other condition is all the elements should not be related. If all the elements are related, I won't go for not reflexive, rather it is reflexive. Fine. So this can't be, and even irreflexive won't be. Next, coming to the symmetric, if I have 1 comma 2, then 2 comma 1 also should be there. But 1 comma 2, those kind of things doesn't exist. All I have is 1 comma 1, 2 comma 2, 3 comma 3. So it will be symmetric. And antisymmetric, I have 1 comma 1. I have 1 comma 1 and 1 comma 1 and 1 are same, right? So it is antisymmetric. Then coming to the transitive, as I have told you, so such kind of condition itself doesn't exist. For example, if I had 1 comma 2 and 2 comma 3, 1 comma 3 should be there. So that kind of ordered pairs only it doesn't exist. So the rule has not been broken. So therefore it is transitive itself. Fine. I think it's clear for you. I'll give one more example. The relation R3, which has a ordered pairs 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, 2. Okay. So now answer this. I have given one more example, the relation R3. Please analyze the question and tell me what is the nature of the relation R3. So which are all the properties it will satisfy. So please answer it. Yes, Hemant Reddy, as I have told you, it will be reflexive, symmetric, transitive, and also antisymmetric, but it can't be not reflexive because all the elements are related to itself. Okay, so I think the board is not visible properly. I'll just read the question for you. The relation R3 will contain the ordered pair 2, comma 3, 3, comma 1, 2, comma 1, and 3, comma 2. I'll read it again. 2, comma 3, 2, comma 3, 3, comma 1, 2, comma 1, and 3, comma 2. Okay. Take time, analyze it properly, and tell me the answer. I will also give one more relation. So most of you have answered correctly. And okay, Banerjee, your doubt is in not reflexive. Can I say there will be exactly n minus one element related to itself? Yeah, actually, it's really a very good question. The thing is, Banerjee, the thing is, if you have only one element in the set, I think there's no point, right? Because the relation will be like you are defining the relation between the elements. If you have only one element, for that defining the relation, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, so anyhow, it's really a good question. So I'll try to give the better answer in the next class. Okay. But as far as now, what I can tell is, if you have only single element, you cannot define the relation in that way. Okay. So anyhow, I'll try to answer it again in the next class. Very good question. So others, I think you have answered correctly. Okay, fine. Okay. So those who have not answered, and if you have doubt, I'll just solve this problem again. Okay, fine. So I have included only two relations, the relations R3 and the relation R4. Okay, so coming to the relation R3, first of all, I need to check whether it is reflexive or not. So coming to the reflexive part, so 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, I don't have any of those ordered pairs, so it cannot be reflexive. And if I have to tell not reflexive, at least there has to be one ordered pair. I mean, one element related to itself. I don't have even that also. Okay, so it is not reflexive also, but it is irreflexive. It is irreflexive because none of the elements are related to itself. So then it is irreflexive. Coming to the symmetric property, so here I have 2, 3. Then 3, 2 must be present, and I have that, right? And here I have 3, 1 and 1, 3 must be present, but it is not there. Even if a single for a single ordered pair, if the rule doesn't exist, then it can't be called as symmetric. Okay, it is not symmetric. Then coming to the antisymmetric property, obviously I told you, right. So here they have clearly given the numbers, and the numbers different. When they have given the different numbers, they can't be equal. I can't even think about this antisymmetric property for this kind of example. Then coming to the transitive property, so I have 3, 1. Okay, fine. And from 1, no ordered pair is starting. So here I have 2, 3 and 3, 1 is there. Then 2, 1 must be present, and it is there. Here. Next I have 3, 2 and 2, 3, but 3, 3 is not there. See, if you observe this one, I have 3, 2 and I have 2, 3. So based on this, 3, 3 must also be present, right? So here it is not there, so it is not transitive also. So if you have done any mistake, you can just cross check. So the relation R3 will satisfy only one property, that is irreflexive property. Fine. Okay. Then coming to the relation R4, okay. Again same thing. It is not reflexive because I have 2, 2, but I don't have 1, 1 and 3, 3. It is not reflexive. It is I cannot tell it is reflexive. But coming to the not reflexive, I have 2, 2. Okay, at least one ordered pair is there, so I cannot call it as not. I can call it as not reflexive. Coming to the irreflexive one, since I have 2, 2, it can't be irreflexive. At least one element is there which is related to itself, right? Next, coming to the symmetric property, I have 2, 3, and I also have 3, 2, right? So it is symmetric. Coming to the antisymmetric property, we will learn from here. Then coming to the transitive property, 2, 3 is there, 3, 2 is there, and 2, 2 is there. Clearly, the condition is satisfied. Right? And no. Transitive property does not satisfy. The reason is 2, 2 is there, and 2, 3 is there. Then I should also have, yeah, that condition is also satisfied. Okay, fine. 2, 2, 3, 2, 3. I think it's clear, right? Relation R4. If you have any doubts in this, you can ask. Okay. Ankita not asking, sir, in the first relation, how it is transitive. Okay. What is the first relation? Okay. So this is the first relation. Okay. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 3, 3. Okay. So now I will just ask you only question, Ankita. So can you tell me why you are thinking it is not? It is not. So no, sir. In second. Okay. So the relation R2. Okay, fine. So R2, how it is transitive? As I have told you, Ankita, the thing is for transitive relation. Again, I am telling you. if you have x related to y, y related to z, then x must be related to z. If you don't have x related to y and y related to z, you need not to think about the conclusion. Okay, so only if the premises exist, then you have to think about the conclusion. If the premises itself doesn't exist, you need not to think about the conclusion. And if the condition itself doesn't exist, then the law has not been broken. Okay, if x related to y, y related to z is there, then x related to z must be there. If premises is not there, you need not to think about the conclusion. I think I made clear, Ankita. Now have you understood? Okay, fine. I think as I have told you, the problems on the properties of relation usually is out of every 3 or 4 question papers, in one question paper they might ask. What he will do is he will give the relation himself and he will ask you to prove the properties of the relation, okay, or nature of the relation. And sometimes what he will do is sometimes he will give only one relation, okay. So he will give you one relation and he will ask you verify the relation is reflexive, symmetric or transitive. If he asks this kind of question, if you are telling as it is reflexive or if you are telling it is not reflexive, you have to give the example also. I'll repeat. If he asks you to verify whether the relation is reflexive or symmetric or transitive, if it is not reflexive or if it is reflexive, you have to just give the example. For example, if he has given the ordered pairs 1, 1, 2, 2, and if he has not given 3, 3, so since he has not given 3, 3, it is not reflexive. Like that, you have to, justify your answer. For that justification, also marks will be there. I'll repeat in the question paper. Okay, anyhow. So we will discuss the question papers, right? At that time, I tell you, if they ask you in the question like verify, then you have to justify your answer. Whatever the property you tell, why you have told that, you need to justify that. Fine. Okay. So I think today's class, I think you have understood about the properties of the relation and the theorem well. So what I will do is next I'll start with the equivalence relation. Once we start equivalence relation and partial order, we will be having more theorems to solve. Okay. So is it clear, students? Whatever the topics that we have discussed today, is it clear? Okay. So now I just want you to I just want to ask one simple question for you. Yesterday actually. I was telling like some of the students have texted her like you people are not interested in the online classes like that, or you are feeling that the classes are a little bit more like that. Can you tell the reason? Actually, I have stopped the recording and actually no one is there in the lab. No need to worry. You please tell me the reason what's happening with you. See, I'll just keep it confidential. Sure, I won't tell for anyone because I just want to understand from you. If you are feeling it as burden, okay, I have to think in a different way. Like I have to reduce the number of classes.